money here, we want to be in that. They're smart. Asians are smart. Sorry for the generalization.
That's racist.
My bad. But so they're like, we need to get on this. You know, Africa has a lot of resources, a lot of oil, and Chad has crude oil. And what the difference between America, if you guys have noticed, America has this perspective. We're kind of like compassionate, and we're like, oh, we want to help this country, so they're going to get oil from this country, but we're going to help it as well. And where China is more like just business oriented. We're just going to take the oil, give you guys money. Let's keep it like that. And then America also is very, if your government's corrupt, we can't work with you. Stuff like that, which is good. I applaud that. Yeah. But it also causes some problems for like Chad, who does have a corrupt government. There is a lot of corruption where their government is getting the money and it's not going through with their, like, down to the bottom percent, the people who actually do need it. And that's where you can't develop when it's stuck in poverty. People are still being paid less than $1 a day. And so, what China is doing is they're coming in and they built a pipeline. They helped build a pipeline that goes through, there's Chad and there's Cameroon and then there's the west coast. So the coast that would be closest to us. And they built a pipeline that goes from Chad, southern Chad, all the way through the whole entire country of Cameroon and then to the coast where it can be distributed to other countries. And this has actually really helped them. They have, I'm just going to kind of name you off some facts. Let me see. They bring in about $1.2 billion a year. That makes up 80% of their revenue. And that's just increased lately.
Sorry.
So what else? So they're hopeful. They're planning on making all these like buildings. With this money, they're planning on making a railroad, an airport, and what was the other? And a hospital. What do you guys kind of think is like how important is it for them to have like travel? What's the word? Like transportation places to like what's the word? I'm trying to think about this. To interact with other countries. So, like, do you think that's important for a country to be developed?
I think before they start taking on first world amenities like building Apple stores, so they should work on figuring out how they're going to keep all the money that's being made from their oil in Chad. That's one of the problems with having international involvement in business is that the Chinese come and build this pipeline and they take all the money. So how are they going to keep the money in Chad?
Definitely.
And boost their economy?
That's
and
really
then maybe
important.
they can start buying iPads.
Then they'll start having them. I think it's really it's like a little off topic, but you know, like those companies are like, donate and we're gonna give iPads to all these children, or buy from us and we give them laptops. And I'm like, how about like food?
Yeah. If their house doesn't have an electrical outlet,
They don't never be able to charge it. They're like, I
they
know.
don't care.
It's sad, but like we don't think about that. We're like, oh, that's so cool. This company's giving out laptops. But really, what do they really need? Oh, you guys. So I do feel like their oil might be their best chance to their revenue to bring in money and to try to distribute that money. But they're really going to need some like work on it, like making sure it gets to the bottom half, or the bottom actually like 75%, 80%.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
What else does Chad export besides oil?
Oh, good question. I have that right here. Okay, so that's part of Chad's globalization. So, of course, they're going to be interacting with other countries and they're exporting things. Their oil, going back to the oil real quick, is because they're partly Muslim. They have, Muslims are very like, you know, we're going to help each other out because they're all like
Unified?
There you go. Unified.
Unitied.
I was totally like thinking that word. I'm just like, not right. And so because of that, they're able to sell their oil to Muslim countries, and that's like it keeps it steady that way. And I think that's really good. Not so great for the U.S., I guess, but We're not in on that, so our bad.
I feel like a lot of Muslim countries already have a
Tons of
lot of oil. Like
Right.
Saudi Arabia has lots of oil.
Exactly.
So is it really, is religion like a huge factor in who they export to?
No, it's not. Like they let export to other countries. From the U.S., which is where I looked into a lot, is because of the government. We don't do dealings with them very much at all.
I found in Honduras, the government was very corrupted. The only people who had like nice houses, electricity, running water, stuff like that, were the government officials or like the drug lords. And they had gates, they had guards, they had everything. Like, it was remarkable to see such like,
Difference.
yeah, rich, like what celebrities would have here, and then just dirt poor.
Yeah.
So I could see where the corruption comes from.
Okay. Yeah, the same thing you would see in Chad. I went to Morocco, and that's the same exact thing. I was at the gates of the president's house of Morocco, and he just has this like gigantic mansion, and next to him is like the shacks of his people,
Yeah.
right next to him. And I couldn't believe that. Like, he can come out and he can see that, and he's like, no, this is my money. Like, he didn't distribute it. Hopefully the president of Morocco doesn't see this video.
Oh, he will.
Jordan Bolin.
I'm going to find you.
I said it
He's
earlier.
gonna declare a fatwa.
There's other exports. It's cotton fiber. What else? There's cattle and beef. They have a lot of cattle farmers. You have this just lot of this kind of desert land. And they don't look like ours. I wish I had a picture of them, but they're weird looking cattle.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. Yeah, they're
If they're the same
They have
from
to-
East Africa.
that's exactly
Are they like the red ones with the white spots and the really long horns?
Yeah.
They also have weird looking goats. And they have like baby deers that are this big.
What?
I forget what they're called.
I'd
but
make
they're
that my pet.
adorable.
Not
They're
like
full grown,
puppies.
like this. And deers don't mate for life, but these do. And they're just like, oh, they're so cute. They have
Pretty
big
much.
eyes.
They're like little people.
Is it deer though? I think it'd be like something like rodent.
No, it's so
Weird.
weird. Oh, it's so cute. I'll have to find it.
I couldn't go hunting for those. We're too bad. Like, oh
No
my
way.
gosh.
They're adorable.
So because of like that desert land and stuff, they have these cattle that are adaptable to that. So not like ours, with
Yeah.
like pastures and stuff.
So do they export livestock and livestock product, or is it just?
It's the meat, not the actual. They raise them there.
So really, their economy kind of tenuous,
Explain a little bit there.
kind of weak?
Yes.
Definitely.
Is it because they only have two things that they really export?
Pretty much, yeah. And the majority of it is the oil. And what doesn't go to China pretty much just go to their top, like we said, their top government. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. And that's where it needs to change, I think, is they need to have a better voice of people for better government. And you hear like when people do talk about that, that's when you have like civil wars and
What kind of government is it? Do you know? Is it like a monarchy or an oligarchy? Or
they
theocracy?
have, that's a really good question.
A theocracy?
Dictatorship.
Am I the king of Chad?
No, it's, I want to say, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure I looked that up. I don't think I have it here.
Let's Google it.
Okay, do it.
Google.
It's really interesting though, because like what our class was like started is like I'm adopted by Chad, and so I picked what hometown I went to, and you saw that. So mine it's called Mayo, M-A-O, and I picked it because it had a sultan. Instead of like a mayor, I have a sultan. I felt like that's cool. It reminded me of like Aladdin and stuff. So I was like, I want a sultan. Maybe he has a cute son. And then I can have a tiger for a pet.
Name it Raja.
Definitely.
First of all, when I Googled Chad, Africa, the first article is by the Washington Post. It says, Chad militia seeks president's overthrow.
President.
Ooh,
And they
so
are,
when was this?
look at that,
10 hours ago.
political unrest. That's
10
awesome.
hours ago.
So apparently, first of all, they have a president, but they're also trying to
Not anymore.
overthrow him.
Not for long.
Gosh, that's awful.
Thank
So-
you totally for doing that.
I know a lot of underdeveloped countries in the world are underdeveloped because of political unrest. Like for example, what was I thinking, in East Africa there's a lot of natural resources and stuff, but there's just war everywhere, so no one, it's not stable enough for anyone to come in and try to
No,
improve things.
not at all. And then there's another thing that really caught my eyes. Like there's the surrounding countries have even worse political unrest, and they're in these wars. And how you were talking about earlier, like if it was one of those war countries, it's currently not as bad as the surrounding countries. And so what they have is they have millions of refugees going into Chad, and they just have these refugee camps set up everywhere around it, along the borders of these other countries. And Chad is supposed to be responsible for sustaining these millions of people, and they can't even sustain themselves. They're trying to give these people water and medicine, education, and it's weighing them down. And so the surrounding countries' problems it's making them even worse.
So is foreign aid going to like warlords type thing?
I haven't read anything about that. I've heard about that before, but in Chad itself, I'm not exactly sure.
I was just thinking about the Darfur situation. Everyone's like, oh, we need to save this, save Darfur, save the people that are getting massacred. So everyone sent their money, but it didn't actually end up going to the people.
No.
But to
It's the warlord.
warlords.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's possible. And it's great these charities they have and these aids and things that your money goes to them.
This is great.
Your aid, what's the word there?
Aid.
Yeah, okay. There's lots of aids there too. But it's like, where exactly is your money going to, or who exactly is your money going to? That's really interesting. And is it going to their government, and is their government supposed to distribute that? Because I would not trust that. And something interesting is I didn't think about it, and I wish I would have looked more into it. Is what does our church do in these countries exactly? Are they doing anything? So that's what's fun. So on a celestial perspective, I want you guys to think and comment if you have anything to say. What do you think God thinks about these people?
He's saying resilience about us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
An interesting question. As they say, God gives people challenges based on what they're capable of handling, right? So maybe those people are actually better than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Because all they have to worry about is not having food. We have to worry about everything else that comes with living in a functioning society.
Right?
We have to worry about what our roommates have, which might seem trivial to them, because they're having to deal with something that's much more challenging.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I also think it depends on the person too, because certain challenges are harder for other people. But,
I don't care what my roommates say about me, except for you, Jordan.
You say that.
I say great things about you.
I say great things about you. I don't care what you have to say about me.
Alright.
Okay, so there's a few questions here that I got from Maddie. Was awesome, and she gave me some really cool questions. They're actually really good questions too. So she wanted to know, did all the countries in the world agree to the 8 Millennium Development Goals?